Hi, all. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to be talking about intellectual disabilities, and I'm going to put a note in here to begin with that this is one that is very personal to me and always has been. My Uncle Mark was born with profound mental disabilities, and he was always one of the happiest people you will ever meet, and you'll hear me talk about him probably a little bit through today's presentation. So, what does it mean to have an intellectual disability? This means you have below average general intelligence functioning, so your IQ. And you're also going to have deficits in your adaptive behavior. Now, this is manifest, it comes about, we see it during developmental periods or before age 18. And it's going to obviously adversely affect academic performance in order to receive special education services. The problem is, if you remember, one of the ways to test is that IQ discrepancy. And so if their IQ says they should be functioning at about a 70, and in school they're functioning at the 70 or higher, they're not going to receive special education services. So, what is the definition of having an intellectual disability? First off, is you're going to have difficulty with cognition. This is the defining feature of the disability, and this is measured using IQ tests. You're also going to have trouble with adaptive behavior, and this is limitations in conceptual, social, practical skills. And these are things that result in challenges to independent living. So thinking about things like going shopping, going to the bank, cooking dinner. And then these individuals are going to need lots of supports to help them gain independence. So these adaptive skill areas that we're talking about, the conceptual, understanding money, being able to pay at a checkout, self-direction, reading, writing, language, and then social, interpersonal, learning how to obey laws and take responsibility and having higher self-esteem, and practical life skills, how to do laundry, how to wash dishes, how to cook dinner. All of these things fall under areas of concern. So how do they determine how severe a disability is? You heard me say that my Uncle Marky was considered profound. This means you have an IQ under 20. Uncle Mark functioned at about the level of an 8 to 9 month old. He could scoot on the ground to get from place to place. And he did not speak. He would recognize us when we would come into the room, and he'd get all excited and he'd grunt, make noises similar to what you would have an infant do when they recognize the person walking into the room. But most are going to be in the mild range. This is an IQ ranging from 50 to 69. Moderate's going to be 35 to 49. Severe is 20 to 30. And the more limited this cognition, in other words, the lower the IQ is getting, the more limited their adaptive behavior is going to get. And the needs that these students have for support in school and outside is going to increase the lower the IQ goes. But keep in mind that 95% of cases of intellectual disability are going to fall under that mild range. Now, 1/3 of these are going to have no cause whatsoever. And Uncle Mark, we don't know how that happened or why that happened. Sometimes the cause is genetic or hereditary, and these could be things like Fragile X syndrome, which is the most common, or Down syndrome. Sometimes it could be caused by premature birth or a very low birth weight, or toxins, leads, diseases, child abuse and neglect. Things like fetal alcohol spectrum disorders will also cause intellectual disabilities. So they're going to need a system of supports. So impaired cognition, when you have this, it means that simple tasks are going to be difficult for you to learn, and it's going to interfere with your communication. And this lack of adaptive behavior skills, this impacts their ability to live independently, hold a good job, make friends, have leisure, and participate in their communities. So the third defining feature, you've got problems with cognition and adaptive behavior, this is going to result in the need for supports or assistance. And a system or network of supports is going to be established to help them be independent. These supports are going to be very individualized, and they're going to meet the needs of each child's disability, where they are strength-wise, where they are weakness-wise. So prevalence rates. Only 4% of IQs are below a 70, but only, take note of this, 0.07 receive services for intellectual disabilities. So oftentimes students who score below a 70 are served under another disability category, whether it's autism or multiple disabilities. And another reason is parents don't want their children identified as an intellectual disability, because there's this huge stigma surrounding this about what the expectations would be. And so educators are really, really nervous to present this as what it might be for parents. So 17% of students with intellectual disabilities participate in general education. 49% are going to be in a special education class. 6% are going to be in separate schools. 26% are going to get their help through a resource room. And then we've got the community-based teaching is going to account for these non-inclusive settings. And that video that I've embedded on course page talks about this whole community-based instruction, which is seriously amazing what they have done with this and how it supports these individuals. So make sure you have watched that video. So challenges that come from this. Obviously, problems with cognition, intellectual functioning. These students are going to have difficulty using, comprehending language and reading and following instructions. They're going to have a difficult time remembering routines, and they're going to have challenges in reasoning and being able to think through complex issues. They're also going to have difficulty with their adaptive skills, like we learned about, performing basic life skills, and they're going to have very limited social skills, and they're going to need additional supports. So these supports are meant to reduce or even eliminate barriers to them living independently. And these supports can be intensive and they can be individualized. They allow them to live sometimes within communities where they can participate and have friends and enjoy life. And the thing is, getting these students to learn how to accept help from others and being able to explain where it is they need help. Sometimes they can't even explain where it is they need the help. And these support systems, this could be friends at school, family, co-workers, government programs, rehabilitation agencies, social agencies. So these supports are going to be all over the place. So as I said before, almost 96% of students with intellectual disabilities are going to be in that mild range. And so these are the students you would have in your classroom. So when you're doing things, you want to consider that item of chunking I had mentioned earlier, where you take a large assignment and break it into smaller steps, smaller instructional steps. You want to give visual reminders. You want to reread directions, and if you can, simplify them, take them down to the smallest pieces, the simplest concept to be able to digest. Having texts that read aloud to students, or using text-to-speech software, utilizing graphic organizer, sentence frames, which establish sentence structure for them, word banks, giving them extra time to help with those processing skills. Now, 4% fall within the moderate range. That's the next step down, but only 2.2% fall in that severe or profound range, those lower two steps. And if you do have these students, it's going to be a lot of the same accommodations as the mild range. But these are also probably going to require substantial adaptations to curriculum and the standards, and presenting these students with alternate assessments. So early intervention services are key. This reduces the severity of the impact. And so explicit instruction in language and social and relationship skills from the start will help these students. And adults with intellectual disabilities who participated in preschool outperform those who did not on IQ scores, graduation rates, income, how they work within their community. And when and where do these services happen? Usually these individuals are identified either at birth or shortly thereafter. And the intervention services need to start right away. Direct services and development of their language and their motor skills are going to be essential. Services usually are presented at the home until the students move into preschool programs around the age of 3. And these preschool programs are beautiful because preschool programs are so incredibly inclusive. All students go into these same classrooms. So what educational programs are there for students with intellectual disabilities? Well, you saw the community-based instruction, but what they're doing is explicitly teaching daily living and job skills. What we call, it's a functional curriculum. It's all practical skills to prepare them for a job and to live in the community, to live independently. And so this is a very important component of their education. But what else do they need to become successful? The idea of self-determination, learning how to make decisions, learning how to know what it is they want and need and like, and explain what that is, and understanding their own abilities, knowing where they need help and where they don't need help, and being able to express that to others. So adults with intellectual disabilities in the community often do not hold good paying jobs, though, or live independently. 48% are unemployed. 78% of these individuals live with a family member. Only 7% live individually. Colleges and universities, though, are beginning to offer programs that are designed for individuals with intellectual disabilities. And the whole point of them is to expand on this curriculum-based instruction where they're promoting the idea of self-determination and independent living. So how do you improve the poor outcome that we just saw? Transition services. Prepare students for a career. When they've been prepared for a career, they're more likely to be employed and have higher earnings than students who have not gone through transition services. Community businesses, integrating those. The businesses and the students have greater job satisfaction than those who are alongside only others with disabilities. This functional curriculum, teaching them things like how to get to and from work, how to pay for rent, how to go to the bank. Job coaching, teaching vocational skills in the actual setting where they're going to incur, and developing experiences and work preferences, getting them into different situations so they can see things that they do like for jobs. And then supporting employment in individuals and their careers they're moving forward. Now, job coaches, they're going to teach these vocational skills in the community and the job settings. And then they have this being able to see what is out there for them to be able to do. So allowing them to attempt different work sites to be able to figure out what it is that they like and then pursue those things.